was there to settle things with Natsu, but because Agnologia was present, he decides to just retrieve the book end and leave. But before he does this, he kills Margir. Yeah, even though Margir didn't want to die and said that he can fulfill Zaref's desires, Zaref doesn't require any more assistance from him, snaps his fingers, turns him into a book, and burns the book into ashes. So yeah, that is how Margir dies. Well, he had a good run, I guess. Now, we know that there is some sort of connection between Agnologia and Zaref, but we still don't know what that is. And one thing he said about Agnologia did catch my interest. Will he once again end history, or will a miracle occur? I do not know. So, did Agnologia try to end history? Did he, try to destroy the whole world or something? But before he does leave, he tells Natsu this. If you somehow manage to make it through this hopeless situation, then I shall grant you an even deeper hopelessness. That kind of gave me off some Itachi Sasuke vibes for some reason. Back when they first fought for the very first time back in part 1, and Itachi tells Sasuke that he lacked hatred. I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of that. Meanwhile, back with the dragons, it was Agnologia that gained the upper hand, and he tells Natsu some things telepathically, so we get a little bit of new information. Now, we all know that the first reason why the dragons were sealed inside the dragon slayers was to prevent their dragonification. To do that, they had to create antibodies, so currently there is almost 0% chance that the dragon slayers will turn into dragons. And the second reason was that the dragons were waiting for an opportunity to defeat the last remnant of their terrible legacy, referring to Agnologia. Okay, so here's the thing. Why didn't the dragons appear back in Tenro Island? Because that was when Agnologia appeared for the first time in Fairy Tail. A possible reason would be that the dragons were still making the antibodies, but Agnologia came close to killing off the main cast of Fairy Tail if it wasn't for Mavis interfering. So they did have an opportunity, but that was lost. So, yeah. By the way, Igneel talking to Natsu, huge death flag. But at least Igneel did put up a good fight. He did manage to tear off one of Agnologia's arms with his mouth. Unfortunately, Agnologia tore off a little bit more than just Igneel's arm. In fact, he took out a huge chunk of his body. And, yeah, Igneel is dead. Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. When I first read that chapter, I was a bit surprised, but I wasn't really fully attached to Igneel. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, crap, he's dead. Okay. But I will say this. Even if I wasn't fully attached to Igneel, since I didn't know really a lot about him or got the chance to attach myself to him personally, I do feel bad for Natsu. I mean, they just reunited. He finally got to see his adoptive father after God knows how many years. And then suddenly he dies. He gets murdered by Agnologia. So at least you have to feel sorry for Natsu. But to add insult to injury, Agnologia unleashed a massive dragon blast on Igneel, which I thought was freaking overkill. But then again, this is Agnologia. This is the dragon slayer that desire destruction and all that. So yeah, Agnologia killed Igneel. Okay. Well, I will say this, at least we got some more information in this chapter. Too bad Zaref didn't get to do anything aside from killing Margir and take back End. So I'm hoping that the next time we see Zaref, he actually gets to do more. So something I didn't bring up, but this chapter reminded me yet again that Luminous Star was completely pointless in this arc. Like, what was the point of introducing it if it wasn't ever going to be used? It was hinted at that it was going to be used to stop Face, but it was the dragons that stopped Face. So it was kind of pointless in the end, but at least we know what Luminous Star is. We still don't know what it can do. And there's still the mystery behind going on with Mavis's body sealed inside the crystal. I guess now's not the right time to activate Luminous Star. Back with the Fairy Tail members, the Dragon Slayers get to reunite with their dragons. Now we can establish that Wendy and Grandini have this mother-daughter relationship, but Metallicana and Gagiel's relationship is kind of strange to me in a way. I think it's kind of like the rebellious child and parent kind of relationship or something, because Metallicana says to Gaziel, as always, you've got that vile look in your face. I mean, they finally get to reunite, and that's all he says to Gaziel. It's a shame that we don't get to know more about Gaziel and Metallicana's relationship. And as for Rogue and Sting and their dragons, Skydrum and Vice Logia, it turns out that they altered their memories, making them think that they killed their dragons so that they can gain better results as Dragon Slayers. I get why they did it, but there really was no need for it, because at the end of the day, the dragons are technically dead. Yeah, it turns out that Agnologia's Dragon Slayer magic had an ability to extract souls, and he did that on the dragons. I don't know when this happened, but it had to happen during that year X777 or something. And another reason why they were sealed inside the Dragon Slayers was not only to create the antibodies, but to prolong their lives. Unfortunately, since they're out of the Dragon Slayers' bodies, they can't come back, which means that they're going to ascend to the dragon afterlife, and, you know, that's it. That's the last we'll ever see of these dragons. That's kind of a bummer. I mean, they finally come back, and we kind of know a little bit of what happened to them, but at the end of the day, they're dead. They're gonna leave, and we're never gonna see them again, which is a bummer. But here's the thing. The dragons were waiting for an opportunity to defeat Agnologia. So again, why didn't the dragons appear earlier along with Igneel and work together to fight against Agnologia? Maybe they would have gained a better chance at beating him or something. And Igneel was in a half-dead state, which was the reason why he was lost, because he was weakened in that state. If he wasn't dead, then maybe he would have gotten a chance to beat him. I mean, sure, they had to deal with Face, but I thought that was what Luminostoire was for. But Luminostoire at the end was kind of pointless, so fine. Now, with Natsu, he was mourning the loss of Igneel, saying that he wanted to share so much that he learned and so much that he wanted to say to Igneel, which was really sad. So the dragons ascend to the afterlife, and they say their goodbyes. Grandini says, I love you to Wendy. Metallicana says, you still got that vulgar look in your eyes. Again, I guess that's his own way of saying goodbye, or her. I don't know if Metallicana is male or female or not. Vice Logia and Skydrum don't even say goodbyes to their Dragon Slayers. I guess they, you know, acknowledge them or something. But Rogue and Sting did thank them, so yeah. And even though Igneel is technically dead, he can still project his inner thoughts to Natsu, I guess, telling him not to cry and that he'll always be with him. Natsu gets up, still crying, says that he will live on, he'll become stronger, and he will defeat Agnologia. And, well, that's basically it, yeah. So, this chapter overall did have a lot of emotion, and that was one of the good things about the chapter. And I did like the goodbyes between the Dragon Slayers and the dragons. I'm still a bit irked that the dragons had to, like, show up way later and not help Igneel fight against Agnologia. I get it, they had to destroy Face, but then what was the point of introducing Luminostoire? And I'm kind of bummed that the dragons were dead this whole time. I mean, we still don't know, like, what happened to them during that year, but I'm assuming it had to happen in that year when they disappeared. And Agnologia did want to kill all the dragons, so yeah. Although, what I really don't understand is, like, why didn't they tell the Dragon Slayers about this? I mean, sure, they were young, they were kids, but at least they would know that their dragons will always be inside them until the time would come where they would, you know, get out of their bodies. It's like, they could have just, like, sat them down, told them that they have to prolong their lives and go into their bodies so that they can prevent the dragonification by making antibodies or something like that. I guess they didn't have time to tell them or something. Again, we really need more information on what happened during that year, which I hope we will get that, but who knows. But aside from that, I thought the chapter was a decent to good chapter. Thus, we get the final chapter and the conclusion of the Tartaros arc. It was the aftermath of Tartaros attacking Fairy Tail. Now, Luxus and the Raijinshi were fully healed from the magical barrier particle poison. Unfortunately, Luxus felt pathetic because he couldn't protect his friends. So this is kind of hinting that Luxus might have to go off on his own and train to get stronger so that he can protect his friends. And yes, I hated the fact that Luxus and the Roijinshu were out of commission throughout the majority of the Tartaros arc. It was such a bummer. Then we get Wendy, and her hair is back to normal, the same long length as always. So what was the point of her cutting her hair again? Because I thought that was like a sign of maturity or something. I mean, when Sakura did it, her hair remained short, but here Wendy gets her hair regrown thanks to cancer. And I was getting used to seeing her with short hair. Whatever. Now, throughout the chapter, we get some characters dealing with not only their losses, but trying to move on forward with their lives. With Gray, however, he was at the gravesite of his parents, and Juvia goes to him, telling him that she was the one that killed Keith to free Silver. And, you know, at first, it looked like that Gray was pissed at Juvia, or at least emotionally frustrated, even though Juvia did feel guilty about it. But that's not really true. In actuality, Gray was grateful for Juvia for freeing his father from Keith's control. And this was actually a nice moment between Gray and Juvia. I wish that these two would have more moments like these, but sometimes these moments keep getting ruined by Juvia being obsessive over Gray, which was annoying. Now, with Erza, this was actually something I wasn't expecting, because apparently all those times that she was being tortured by Kyoka made her remember the times when she was a kid being a slave at the Tower of Paradise. It reawakened this fear that Erza had before, and she was even starting to doubt if she could continue believing in the good of people. This kind of came off out of nowhere for me, because I've never seen Erza regain this fear that she had before. I mean, throughout the Tartaros arc, she wasn't afraid, even though she had to endure so much torture by Kyoka, but I guess since we got the aftermath, all those fears and doubts, like, finally bubbled over the surface or something, I guess. But Jalal was there to at least comfort her by saying these words: "You're quite aware of the strengths and weaknesses of humanity. Forward, ever forward on your path of light." So yeah, those words alone managed to comfort Erza, so good for Jalal and Erza, I guess. We even get to see the Eurasian set, now full-fledged members of Crime Source here. We don't see Brain, or should I say Zero, so we can just assume that he's dead. I'm hoping he's dead, because I really don't want Hiro to do the same thing with Zero or Brain like what he did with Jianma, you know, just make him stay dead. Meanwhile, Sabretooth welcomes back Rogue and Sting, and Minerva, yeah, she gets to return to Sabretooth, and she's welcomed back with open arms. She cries and says, "I'm home." I'm sorry, I just don't like Minerva. She was such a evil, cruel bitch. But no, we should feel sorry for her and welcome her back, because, you know, she suffered abuse from her father, which, you know, that's fine. You can make her sympathetic and all, but she's done a lot of terrible things, and she's gonna be welcomed back in open arms without any kind of punishment whatsoever. No, I guess they were willing to forgive her because, I don't know, I guess they didn't want to end up like Gemma or like her or something, but you know what? Whatever. Minerva, good for you, I guess. But I will say this, she has a hell of a lot of work to do to atone for what she's done. Yes, I am aware of her backstory, but that doesn't excuse her for doing all those terrible things. Then we get Makarov and Dornbolt, or I guess in this case, should I say Mest? Because, well, okay, this is actually the part that I didn't like about this chapter. It turns out that Dornbolt was a member of Fairy Tail this whole time and infiltrated the Magic Council by erasing his own memories. Okay, you know what? I would have been okay if Dornbolt did join Fairy Tail, but to reveal that he was a member this whole time was just... it's just something that I don't like. Although my question is, why did he infiltrate the Magic Council? It was explained way later on, but I will get to that later. But I will say this, whatever it is, had to be very important if he had to, like, erase his own memories. So, if Dornbolt is a member of Fairy Tail, then okay, fine, I guess, but he can still be part of the Magic Council. I mean, he can, like, help reform the Magic Council, make it into something better than the old one, you know? But I don't know what this means for Dornbolt, and... okay, this was actually a bit of a surprise for me when I read this, because the instant Dornbolt learned that he was a member of Fairy Tail, Fairy Tail has been disbanded! So no more fairy tale. Like, what the hell? I mean, there was more of a reason to it, like, way later on, but here, the only possible reason that we got out of it was that Makarov knows that everyone is gonna go on their separate ways. Which isn't really a good reason, because, okay, some characters are gonna go off on their own, train to get stronger, and go on their own separate ways, but not everyone else is. They can still be in Fairy Tail and still train at the same time. I mean, you can still have Fairy Tail around. I mean, Fairy Tail was around during the 7-year time skip. You know what, Makarov, sometimes I question your leadership skills. Like, seriously. Natsu and Happy are gonna go off on their own to train for a year, and they leave a letter to Lucy to let her know about this. She didn't want Natsu and Happy to leave all of a sudden. So she goes off and runs into the street, cries, saying, "I won't get sad, moron." Or maybe she was supposed to say, "I'll get sad." Well, this is manga stream translation that I'm reading, by the way. Then we get the conclusion of this chapter, and we see Zaref in this room with the book End, and it has been revealed that End stands for Aetherius Natsu Igneel. Oh my god! Natsu is End! Yeah, not really a surprise. There have been theories of what End stands for, and a lot of people said that Natsu was End. Which actually makes sense, because Zaref knew about Natsu, but Natsu didn't know about Zaref. And back in Tenro Island, Zaref was crying, saying that Natsu wasn't strong enough to kill him yet. So, Natsu being End? Yeah, I can definitely see this happening. But the question is, what is up with the book End? Because End was supposed to be sealed in the book, right? So, maybe inside the book is the spirit or the soul of End, and Natsu is just the vessel of End. So I guess if End was released, he would reclaim his body, and Natsu can fully become End or something. I'm not sure. But this also questions what happened between Natsu and Zaref, because Igneel took Natsu in and took care of him. So, like, what happened when he created Natsu? But yeah, that's the end of the Tartaros arc. Overall, the Tartaros arc had a pretty good start at the beginning, but somewhere around like the middle or the second half of the arc, it started to like deviate, you know, go up and down and all that. But overall, I'd have to say that the Tartaros arc was one of the better arcs that I've seen so far after the 7-year time skip, and that is saying much considering what we got from like the Grand Magic games, the Eclipse game, the Seven Dragons, all that. But yeah. At least with Tartaros, they did come off as a threat, and they were close. They were close to succeeding, but failed because the dragons showed up. But at the end of the day, like all the other villains in Fairy Tail, they lose to Fairy Tail because, well, sometimes it was friendship, sometimes it was good tactics, other times it was just fucking bullshit. Despite several scenes of bullshit, there were moments, at least, that came off really good. I mean, there was some good emotional moments. The action sequences, some of them were pretty good. The fight scenes were good too. Well, some of them. So, yeah, Tartaros arc, one of the better arcs after the 7-year time skip. Although this means that we are going to get another time skip, a 1-year time skip in Fairy Tail, and I'm hoping that this time skip will be better than the 7-year time skip. Please let it be better. This chapter was surprisingly nice and different because this entire chapter had no dialogue or speech whatsoever. Natsu, during his journey, ran into Gildarts. Yes, we finally see Gildarts, and I was so pissed that we didn't see him during the Tartaros arc. I mean, did he, like, not know what was going on during that arc? Did he not hear the commotion or anything? Which, again, really sucks. But it was nice seeing Natsu and Gildarts interacting with each other. And there was actually a scene where they were sparring. And it seems that Natsu has gotten much stronger than he was back in Tenro Island, because he was able to push back Gildarts a couple more feet than he did before. So, yeah, Natsu's been improving in his power. Well, I was hoping that Gildarts was going to journey with Natsu during this 1 year, you know, like with Naruto and Jiraiya, so that he would, like, help train Natsu, but no, they have to go on their separate ways, which was kind of unfortunate. But I'm hoping that in like the next arc or the arc afterwards or whatever, any arc whatsoever, that we'll see Gildarts again and we'll get to see him fight again, because I liked Gildarts and I wanted to see more of him. So So yeah, this was actually a nice change of pace, and it was a nice chapter overall. So we get the 1 year time skip, and we get to see how Lucy's been doing after a year. After Fairy Tail has been disbanded, she's now working as an editor in training at Weekly Sorcerer magazine, but before that she was a model. And well, sometimes it's hard to take Lucy seriously considering all the fan service she goes through, especially at the beginning of the chapter. We had color pages of her in the shower and changing, so more fan service on her. Yeah, she was there to cover the Grand Magic Games, but not all the other guilds, at least the guilds that we know of, didn't participate whatsoever, which was kind of strange, but I guess it might have something to do with Fairy Tail disbanding or something. There are 2 new guilds that were introduced, but I'm not gonna say who they are because, like, who cares? I mean, it's not like we're gonna see these 2 guilds ever again. Now, Lucy didn't contact any of the other Fairy Tail members, but she did keep track on where they were and what they were doing, as she has this, like, big map in her room and all these, like, articles and pictures of the characters that we've seen before. It seems that she's still going through the loss of Fairy Tail because she's still upset over that, not to mention, you know, like, still trying to, like, go through the loss of Aquarius, which I really wish we could have, like, dwelled more into that. Lucy's issues trying to get over the loss of Fairy Tail, but also with Aquarius and with Natsu leaving all of a sudden. I mean, that would have been, like, a pretty good start for this chapter, and, you know, I guess to see how Lucy's been doing mentally and emotionally. Anyway, we get the conclusion to the Grand Magic Games. This one guild called Skull Million wins, but their victory is cut short because this mysterious hooded figure shows up into the stadium and takes on all the guilds, and yes, it is Natsu. Well, he sure knows how to make an entrance, that's for sure, but he could have killed the audience. I'm just saying, because, well, he has gotten stronger, and his fire can now destroy the stadium, which he did so, and he could have killed the audience, but all he did was just burn their clothes. Why did he do that? I don't know, hero's excuse to get more Lucy's boobs or something. But I will admit, seeing Natsu's fire attacks was kind of cool, and I did like his new look. He still got the scarf, he's got a new cape, he's got bandages on his arms, but he also has longer hair. Him, Lucy, happy, they see each other, and they were happy to see each other again. So, yeah, I guess that's their reunion. Okay, this is actually not a bad start to the 1 year time skip, but Natsu is gonna have to go through some sort of punishment or something because, well, he could have killed people and he did destroy the stadium. I'm just saying, I mean, he's gonna have hell to pay for that. Okay, turns out I was wrong because since he was in good terms with the king after the whole Eclipse Gate situation, he was set free. Okay, I guess. But since he left all of a sudden, he wasn't aware about Fairy Tail disbanding, so once he learned the news, he wasn't all too happy over it. But we do learn one thing, and that is Makarov has been missing for this year. Where has he gone? Well, you won't get that information until, like, the arc after the next one. But even though Lucy was happy to see Natsu again, she still holds some sort of, like, resentment or a little bit of anger towards Natsu because, you know, he left all of a sudden. So I guess some things can't be let go after a year. But at least they did manage to spend time together like it was old times, and Natsu was aware of what Lucy has been doing, like keeping track with all the Fairy Tail members. So him and Happy decided to go off on this journey and bring Lucy along to bring back all the members of Fairy Tail and rebuild Fairy Tail. But before he does that, he causes vandalism by writing Fairy Tail on the castle made out of fire. And yet he's still forgiven. But yeah, we're on to our first arc after this 1 year time skip, the Fairy Tail retrieval arc. Well, at least that's what I call it. I don't know what it's fully called. The scenes with Natsu dragging Lucy while they're going off on their own journey kind of reminded me back to chapter 1, which I thought was like a nice nostalgic moment. So yeah, when this arc started, I was wondering like how long this was going to be. considering that there are a lot of characters in Fairy Tail, and which ones are going to be found first, and how long will that take, and all that. But trying to remember how long this arc took, I think this was going to take about like 20 chapters or something, so not way too long, that's for sure. So in this chapter, we get a little bit of a sample of how much stronger Natsu has gotten. It seems that his senses were greater, at least his sense of smell or hearing, or whichever one it is, because he was able to stop a group of bandits from stealing this one guy's carriage by shooting his fire blast at them, and they were pretty far away. So yeah, that's very impressive on Natsu's part. Although, why did he have to shoot that fire blast between Lucy's legs? I don't know, excuse for a panty shot or something? I'm not sure. One thing I was happy to hear is that Lucy wasn't skipping on her training. So she has also been training in her celestial spirit magic, which was good because I was worried that she stopped training during this 1 year time skip. Their first stop was in Margaret City to visit Lamia Scale, who was having their Thanksgiving celebration. And we do get to see some old members of Lamia Scale again. Yuka, whose eyebrows have grown really long. I mean, Jesus freaking Christ. We even get to see Leon. Toby, a character that I don't really like, and he was making impressions of himself, which was really lame. And then we get the Guildmaster of Lamia Scale, which I forgot what her name was. She was the spinning granny, and she was doing an oriental dance, but then she tried to strip. Thank God she was stopped, because last thing I want to see is naked granny. No, thank you. I mean, that one episode of Sakigaki Otokojuku was enough for me. Word of warning. If you are watching Sakigaki Otokojuku and you come across an episode where Togashi was to help out this old granny, skip it! For the love of God, skip it! Oh God, that scene was just... But then we get the final act, and it is Chilia and Wendy. Yeah, we get to see Wendy again, and she hasn't really changed that much, and she is now a member of Lamia Scale, which actually makes sense because she and Chilia were friends, so I guess she went to Lamia Scale after Fairy Tail got disbanded. And apparently she and Chilia are a pop idol duo because they were just singing this song called Angel Loves Slayer. Although I did find it strange that the audience is now a bunch of older men. But then I have to like remind myself how old these characters were because Chilia, I think she's like 15, 16 years old or something. And Wendy is, I think, 14, 15. I mean, I'm not counting the 7 years because she technically didn't really age. So 14, 15, I think. I'm not sure. I mean, is it legal? I don't know. I'm still not sure, but I did find it funny that Natsu sees this, and then he says, "I've got to rescue Wendy from the dark side." I thought it was kind of funny and nice because it just shows that Natsu is like a big brother to Wendy. But they run into yet another character who is Charle, and, well, Charle does not look like what she used to be. Yeah, when you see Charle for the first time, she's human. Not gonna lie, when I saw this for the first time, I was like, why is Charle human? What is going on? Well, to be fair, I mean, her human form is actually a nice design, and she's not wearing anything provocatively, but I swear to God, Hero, if you do this to Charle, I'm gonna be so pissed, because no matter what, Charle is always that little Exceed cat. And you're gonna, like, do fan service shots of a cat. That's just weird. But the chapter truly ends as we see this group in the shadows, and one of them is this snake guy that kind of reminds me of Orochimaru, and they're gonna be the villains of this little arc, I guess. But let's face it, I mean, what the hell are these guys gonna do? I mean, we've seen what Natsu can do, and yeah, they're gonna get seriously curve stomped. So yeah, I'm not getting my hopes up with these guys. So Wendy sees Lucy, Natsu, and Happy again, and she's very happy to see them again. But when she was offered to come back so that they can restore Fairy Tail, she refuses, which is kind of surprising, but the reason why she did that was so that Chilia won't get lonely. And if you're wondering about Jura, he's no longer a member of Lamia Scale because the 10 Wizard Saints are now the new Magic Council, and Jura, being one of them, is now part of the Magic Council, which is cool, but it's kind of a bummer because I wanted to see Jura. I mean, I like Jura. I thought it was cool. Oh, and the whole Charle human form thing. Yeah, it was transformation magic, and in this human form, Charle's divination ability has increased, as well as her magic power, just a bit. And I hated the fact that she had to like rub it in Happy's face, but unfortunately Happy didn't go through some sort of training on his own, so yeah, I'm a bit disappointed with Happy. Seriously, how come Happy didn't get stronger? I'm pretty sure Panther Lily did get stronger too. I mean, if Charle can get stronger, why not Happy, I guess. When Wendy and Charle were alone together, Charle didn't want Wendy to do this out of sympathy, and her sister Sherry left the guild because she got married to, what was his name? Rin? I think that was his name. Or is it Ren? Len? Rin? I'm not sure. The tsundere guy, yeah. But their conversation gets interrupted because monsters invade the city, and it turns out they were summoned by the mages that we saw in the previous chapter. They were part of a guild called Orochi's Fin, a guild that was in an endless feud with Lamia Scale for years. Okay, this is completely new to me, because since when was Lamia Scale in an endless feud? I mean, that was never brought up before, so yeah, this is completely new to me. Now, it turns out that these guys summoned 100,000 monsters to attack Lamia Scale and destroy the town because, well, they wanted to erase every last scrap of their magic power from existence, which also applies killing the townsfolk and destroying the entire town. Evil! But let's face it, they could summon like millions of monsters, and yet they cannot come off as a threat to me because I know frickin' Natsu's gonna frickin' curse stomp these guys. Not to mention we got Lucy and Lamia Scale there, so obviously they're gonna win. So yeah, Orochi's Fin, sorry, but you're not coming off as a threat to me. So the plan is for Natsu and Wendy to go off to Orochi's Fin and defeat the summoner to get rid of all these monsters, while the rest deal with the monsters and protect the town. Unfortunately, Happy gets hijacked by Charle, so it's going to be Charle and Wendy who are going to fight against Orochi's Fin. That's a bit of a surprise there, but hey, at least we'll get to see Wendy and Charle fight and see how they improved in their slaying magic. Oh, and apparently Charle has to be in her human form to fly Wendy, which I don't get because why doesn't she just be in her X-Seed form, but whatever. So despite me feeling about Orochi's Fin, I hope they're not going to be defeated like way too easily. But knowing Fairy Tail, I don't think that's going to happen. So in this chapter, we get to see Wendy and Charle fight against Orochi's Fin, and they actually pull off some pretty cool moves. Well, nothing too new, but at least seeing them working together as a team was pretty neat. Hell, even Charle can fight in her human form, which was really surprising and kind of cool too. So yeah, she's now even more useful. Unfortunately for Happy, well, he doesn't do anything except a joke about him enduring fish, which was kind of like his result of the training, but that's about it. You know what? I feel bad for Happy. I'm hoping that he actually does get stronger in a way. Meanwhile, back in the town, this part I actually thought was pretty funny. Natsu was pissed off that Charle hijacked Happy, so on a rampage, he just goes off on his own, getting to Orochi's Fin, finding Charle. All the while, he was knocking away a couple of monsters while he was running, which I thought was kind of funny. And at least we get to see the rest of the members of Lamia Scale fighting, but not in like the way we got to see Wendy and Charle. Just some basic moves from them, and that's about it. But one of the highlights was Lucy's new Celestial Spirit magic ability, which has a lot of potential. It's called Star Dress, and whatever key she uses to summon a Celestial Spirit, she can add like a bit of Celestial Spirit magic of her own to give her this dress so that she can have similar abilities like her Celestial Spirit. So in this case, she summons Loki, so we get to see him again, which was cool. And since she summoned Loki, she uses Star Dress Leo form, giving her this new dress. And she even has like a tattoo, the zodiac symbol for Leo. So she can do that for every single Celestial Spirit that she has. However, there's one problem with this. This was used for comedy. I mean, you introduce this cool ability which has great potential, and Lucy just uses it for like a regular Lucy kick. It's just a Lucy kick with light magic. That's supposed to be funny. But honestly, it didn't come off as funny, and I didn't want this to be like the first time we see a new ability from Lucy to be reduced to comedy. So, like, I'm hoping the next time we see this, it won't be for comedy. Now, back with Orochi's fin, the snake guy, which I thought was the leader, might or might not be the leader or something, because there was a character which he refers to as Sensei. So I don't know who exactly is the leader of Orochi's fin exactly, because the guy he referred to as Sensei is a returning character from one of the previous arcs of Fairy Tail, and it is Bluenote, which I didn't recognize the first time I read this. Yeah, sorry guys. I mean, he looked familiar to me, but I didn't remember who he was. And when Charle said his name, which I was like, oh, Bluenote! Who? I still didn't remember who that guy was. It was only when I had to look up his name on the Fairy Tail wiki that I learned that this was the same guy that fought against Gildarts back in Tenro Island. So I was like, oh, the guy that fought against Gildarts. Okay. Why is he here? So yeah, he was able to overpower the girls with his gravity magic, but he also got a couple members of Orochi's fin in the crossfire, but he doesn't give a shit because he recognized them as Fairy Tail, and I guess in his mind he has to, like, destroy Fairy Tail and all that, I guess. So yeah, after, like, Tenro Island, where he got, you know, blasted off Team Rocket style, he ended up in Orochi's fin for 7-8 years or something. I don't freaking know. But Natsu arrives at the scene and is still upset over Charle. But the thing is, he is still standing. He wasn't affected by Bluenote's gravity, so yeah, if you can, like, determine his power level right now, he's now stronger than Bluenote, or it might be up to Gildart's level back at Tenro Island. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm gonna say this. The whole reason why Bluenote was brought back was so that we can see how much stronger Natsu has gotten, and, well, you guys might not like what's going to happen in the next chapter. People were pissed over what happened to Bluenote. I wasn't. I was laughing because I knew this was gonna happen. So yeah, here's what happens. Bluenote sees Natsu. He recognizes him back in Terminal Island. Natsu didn't recognize him. Bluenote uses the full extent of his gravity magic to try to crush Natsu with his gravity. Didn't work because Natsu uses his fire to, like, go up into the sky or air or something, and then unleashes a massive fire blast on Bluenote. Freaking incinerates him and dead. Well, not really dead, but, you know, that's it. Gone. Retired. He fucking one-shots Bluenote with a fire blast. Oh my god! I knew this was gonna happen! And the funny thing is, Orochi's fin, they see what Natsu can do, and they're waving the white flag, and they're like, yeah, we surrender. That's it! Resolved! It's done! That's it from Orochi's fin. God, these guys suck! This is why I couldn't think of these guys as a threat, because I knew something like this was gonna happen. Now this pissed off a lot of people, and this actually got a lot of people hyped over seeing how Natsu was strong. And don't get me wrong, Natsu was pretty cool in this, but oh my god, Bluenote got freaking one-shotted. And this was the guy that, you know, like, could have defeated Gildarts if it wasn't for, like, the tree coming back up. But then again, I mean, he had no chance against Gildarts, so yeah. Oh, and Chile's clothes are burned, but whatever. I don't care anymore about that. Alright, so yeah, the day is saved thanks to Natsu, and Wendy and Chile once again have another heart-to-heart, and Chile wants Wendy to go with Natsu, Happy, and Lucy. Wendy loves Natsu as a brother, and Natsu came all this way for her, so it was best for Wendy to go with them. And even though they'll be in different guilds, they'll still be friends no matter what, which was you know, it's actually a nice moment between these two. So yeah, Natsu, Lucy, happy. Wendy and Charle say goodbye to Lamia Scale. Wendy was sad at first, but Lamia Scale knew that this was going to happen. So yeah, this was actually kind of nice. So their next destination is Rainfell Village, a village that never stops raining. Why? Because, well, at the end of the chapter, we see Juvia looking all depressed. So yeah, next stop, a village that never stops raining, and Juvia is there. Which means that there's something going on between her and Gray did something bad to make Juvia upset. Oh god, Gray, what did you do? So yeah, that little arc came to an end, which I thought wasn't really bad, but I really hope that the villains don't get defeated like with Orochi's fin or with Bluenote. Like, don't do that, hero. You're gonna piss off a lot of fans. But I understand why he did it. It was just to establish how powerful Natsu has gotten. Which he has gotten pretty powerful. But don't let Natsu one-shot every single villain that we come across. Please. Like, we don't want that. But, oh, this little mini arc was actually not bad. And it was cool seeing Wendy and Charle again. And Lamia Scale again. But, I'm hoping we won't get any more one-shots. So, we're going to get to the Avatar arc, where we're going to see not only Gray and Juvia, but more Fairy Tail members. And, well, if you thought Orochi's fin was bad, wait till you see Avatar. Yeah. Till next time.